When somebody embarks on a weight loss journey, it often seems like the loss of the first few pounds, up to about 5 pounds, can happen very, very quickly. In the long-term journey where lots of weight would hopefully be lost, eventually it's going to become slow and gradual. But it seems like that early weight loss, on at least on certain kinds of diets, can be actually really quick. At least anecdotally, people tend to say that in the first week of weight loss, if they're strict about their diet, they can lose up to about 5 pounds. The question here is that believable? Can we rationalize that with some basic scientific calculations? And if so, can those calculations tell us what is probably happening? Uh, what kind of material in the body is being lost in that weight loss? Is it fat? Is it water? Is it carbohydrate? So let's do some calculations. Imagine hypothetically that those first 5 pounds of weight loss that came off in just a few days or so was fat. Hypothetically, let's see if this would even make any sense. Is that believable? Can somebody really lose 5 pounds of fat really, really quickly, like in a week or less than a week? Well, let's remember that 1 gram of fat is worth 9 calories of energy. So for example, if you eat a gram of fat, you consume 9 calories. If you burn off a gram of fat from your body, you burned off 9 calories. So 5 pounds is equal to about 2.273 kilograms, which is 2,273 grams. Okay, so when we're talking about losing hypothetically 5 pounds of fat, we're talking about losing a little over 2,000 grams of fat. Now, if we take those approximately 2,000 grams of fat and we multiply it by 9 calories per gram, we would see that losing about 5 pounds of fat is the equivalent of losing about 20,457 calories of energy. So, for example, if you completely starved yourself, which you shouldn't do, but if you ate nothing and waited until your body naturally burned about 20,000 calories, you could lose 5 pounds of fat. But that's not possible to burn 20,000 calories in just a few days. The typical metabolic rate of a person is around 2,000 calories a day, and you can get it higher with exercise, but you can't get it that high. You can't burn 20,000 calories in a few days. So there's just no way. There's no way that somebody can lose 5 pounds of fat in just a few days. So that if there is rapid early weight loss at the beginning of a weight loss journey, it's not fat. Okay, so let's consider another possible scenario. Imagine that the 5 pounds of rapid weight loss that could potentially happen at the beginning of a weight loss journey is loss of carbohydrate from the body. Carbohydrate is stored as glycogen. Glycogen is the term for stored carbohydrate in the body. It's primarily stored in the liver and in muscle. Now, 1 gram of carbohydrate or glycogen is worth 4 calories of energy. As I mentioned a moment ago, 5 pounds is the equivalent of 2,273 grams. But here's what's special about glycogen. Unlike fat, which does not associate much with water at all, because as we know, fat and water don't really mix. If you try to mix, let's say, some olive oil with some water in a cup, they separate, right? Well, glycogen is different. It likes to mix with water. It actually holds on to water. So 1 gram of glycogen in the body is actually associated with 3 grams of water. So for every gram of glycogen we lose out of the body, we actually lose 3 grams of water out of the body. And that water has weight to it, just like the glycogen has weight to it. So to lose 4 grams of body weight, you only need to lose 1 gram of glycogen. If we extend that to working with larger numbers, we could say that if we lose 5 pounds of body weight, which again is equivalent to about 2 kilograms or about 2,000 grams, you to lose 5 pounds of body weight or 2,273 grams, you only need to lose about 568 grams of glycogen because the rest of it will come off as water. Okay, so 568 grams of glycogen times 4 calories per gram of glycogen would be 2,272 calories. So that seems feasible. Burning around 2,000 calories of carbohydrate in a few days, as long as it wasn't replaced with dietary carbohydrate, actually could lead to 5 pounds of weight loss. That's believable. If a typical metabolic rate is about 2,000 calories a day, and we're talking about this happening over the course of a few days, yeah, it's absolutely possible for somebody to deplete the body of around 2,000 calories of carbohydrate in a few days, as long as they're on a very low carbohydrate diet. So if we don't replace the carbohydrate that our body naturally burns, then and we could potentially lose 5 pounds in a few days. So what does it mean to restrict carbohydrate in the diet? Well, it means we'd be on a so-called ketogenic diet, or as people like to call it, a keto diet. And this has been observed by many people on ketogenic diets or on keto diets that they experience a very rapid weight loss at the beginning, followed by a gradual weight loss over time. Later on, weeks to months later, that gradual weight loss could certainly be from loss of body fat, but that very quick early weight loss, like 5 pounds in a few days, that's loss of glycogen and associated water. So eventually, continued weight loss will be from loss of body fat on any successful diet, on any diet where we consume less calories than we expend. Eventually, we will be gradually losing body fat, which is the goal. However, again, to reiterate, that rapid initial weight loss is because of glycogen depletion, and we really could deplete that much glycogen to explain the loss of about 5 pounds in a few days. Okay, so again, we can lose around 5 pounds of body weight through depletion of glycogen if we start with around 500 grams of glycogen in the body. Well, who has that much glycogen in the body? Can people really store that much glycogen? Well, a small person who isn't eating a lot of carbohydrate won't even have that much glycogen. They might have, let's say, maybe 300 grams of glycogen in the body, because our body size and our diet both affect how much glycogen we have in the body. But some people actually really could start with around 500 or 600 grams of glycogen in the body, and those would be the people who could lose as much as about 5 pounds in a few days through glycogen depletion on a ketogenic diet or on a keto diet. So if we're talking about somebody who consumes a moderate to high amount of carbohydrate, for example, they like to eat things like rice and pasta, most days of the week, and they're a fairly big person. They may be a person, with overweight or obesity. So or just somebody who naturally has a lot of lean body mass. So if they're a fairly big person and they consume a quite decent amount of carbohydrate, they could have up to around 500 grams of glycogen in the body. So that's the kind of person who could lose about 5 pounds in a few days. If we're talking about a smaller person who doesn't eat a lot of carbohydrate, still they could experience some rapid weight loss through loss of the glycogen that they do have, but it may be more like, let's say, 3 or 4 pounds over a few days. So in summary, it really is possible to lose 5 pounds in a few days, but that will be loss of glycogen and water. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please consider clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel.